You're watching Cape Media News, brought to you by Cape Media Center.
Tonight on Cape Media News, Cape Cod young professionals hold their annual Shape the Cape Summit.
Plus, thousands attend the hands-off protest at the Hyannis Rotary.
And later, a look at poet Robin Miller's talk at the JFK Museum.
These stories and more are coming up next on Cape Media News.
Good evening and welcome to Cape Media News, your source for hyperlocal news that matters. I'm Jamie Horton.
And I'm Rick Kuntz. Earlier this week, local nonprofit Cape Cod Young Professionals held the 11th annual Shape the Cape Summit in Hyannis. The day was packed with 30 exhibitors, 24 presentations, and over 350 attendees. We spoke to some presenters and attendees to learn more.
Shape the Cape is the place for everybody. There's always something for each and every person, no matter what walk of life in it, and no matter what level of professional experience you have. We want to see everybody out here getting involved, talking about the things that matter to them, representing that community that you're in Cape Cod is so incredibly important.
I think it's a huge opportunity to just get together with a bunch of people and focus on yourself as a professional, but also what you can do for the community, what you can do for the Cape, great networking and like minds, and everybody's asking the same question, whether they live in Truro or whether they live in Falmouth, and how can we get everybody together and figure it out.
So this is my first Shape the Cape Summit. I've been to a couple of conferences before and stuff, but this is my first one here. And just the room and the energy that's here, everybody's so excited, and it's all professional peers. So everyone is here to promote themselves as well as learn from other people that's there. So you want to come. If you want to build your business, if you want to be involved with the community, if you want to learn something new. I mean, the first event that I went to was just having your voice heard. I thought it was more of when your boss is away, how do you get your voice heard in the workplace? It was about town government. It was nothing of what I anticipated it being, but I learned a little bit about it, and it was just eye-opening. And that's what I think everyone should come to the summit to learn more about what's happening in the community and what you want to get involved in, and just learn something new. Just be around your friends, you know?
This has been, we're like maybe an hour into this, and it has been so much fun to just see everyone and talk to everyone. I think networking and meeting people, right, is so hard. That's the whole point of my panel. But this is an event where a lot of people are in one place. We've got a lot of businesses represented. We've got a lot of people that are just trying to meet other people and trying to develop in their careers or in their personal lives or in their hobbies. And it's really nice to be near people and do that. And it's a fun event. It's been great.
So I think the term young comes from people who are looking to grow wherever they're at. And I don't want to tie that to somebody's age. I think anybody is young as long as they're growing and they're experiencing new things, and we're all on our own learning journeys. And people who have experience can contribute and teach young people wherever they are in their career path new ways of doing things, new ways of thinking. I think we all have something to contribute and something to learn. And I hope to see each and every one of you here next year talking about what really matters.
Earlier this week, the Yarmouth Fire Department collaborated with IFAW in an effort to rescue several dolphins stranded along the shoreline near Hallett's Mill Pond Bridge. After hours of rescue attempts, IFAW reached out to the fire department to request assistance with the shallow water strandings. Fire personnel provided manpower and logistical support, ensuring the safety of both the animals and the rescue teams. IFAW reported that one of the dolphins was tagged for tracking and is actively transmitting north of Cape Cod Bay, suggesting that the pod is once again safe.
Monomoy Regional School District is launching a new preschool class to help meet the needs of families in the community. Monomoy's PUPS is a pre-K program designed to meet critical developmental needs by providing a full-day, language-rich environment. The program is designed to support all families, especially those experiencing housing insecurities, language barriers, low income, or transportation challenges. The PUPS program will be located at Chatham Elementary School and is open to families in Chatham or Harwich. Children must be age 3 prior to September 1st in order to enroll. More information can be found at monomoy.edu/pups.
2 fire departments in Barnstable are receiving funding to purchase vital safety equipment through the 2025 Firefighter Safety Equipment Grant. The Centerville, Osterville, Marston's Mills, and West Barnstable fire departments are receiving a combined amount of over $15,000. This grant will fund equipment like thermal imaging cameras, gas detectors, and protective gear, ensuring our fire departments have all the necessary equipment to keep themselves and our communities safe.
At least 2,000 people gathered around the airport Rotary on Saturday to protest the Trump administration, demanding hands-off of a number of issues, including Medicare, the Department of Education, and more. News Director Mitch Sock has more.
It was a gray and dreary Saturday morning, but that didn't stop thousands from standing out at the airport Rotary in protest of the Trump administration. And by noon, the Rotary was completely surrounded.
This is our hands-off protest, and that's what's being held in D.C., at all the state capitals, and all over the world right now.
National activist groups have been helping grassroots organizers by providing dates and themes, such as hands-off, for smaller groups to organize around. This has resulted in some rather large-scale national protests, with Hands Off having a reported turnout of over 5 million people nationwide.
I'm here representing Mid-Cape, Indivisible, as well as Cape Cod Women for Change. And when we first had the first meeting back in November, we had 13 people around a table. And here we have, like I said, probably 1,000. And we meet and we go over some of the issues. And we are just here to fight for the people of this country, to fight for the Cape. This summer, the Cape is going to be impacted greatly because if immigrants can't come into work, if they can't get their visas, and also a lot of tourists have canceled. We have a lot of tourists that come from Canada to the Cape, and they have already canceled. So tourism is going to be impacted this summer.
The ripple effects of national policies are being felt right here on the Cape. And for many, that's reason enough to stand up and speak out.
So I'm out here because this has to stop. The cruelty and the things that are unconscionable. Community is ready to evolve. We're not going to play like the old paradigm anymore. And you can see by how many people are out here. Everyone's done. We don't want this anymore.
I'm here because of all the destruction of our democratic institutions. I'm afraid that the courts are not going to be listened to. I'm worried that the Supreme Court will not stand up to Trump. I mean, there's so many I can't even list them all.
Hands off our Medicare, hands off our Department of Education, hands off our money, hands off our bodies, hands off our free speech. We all want to take our country back.
So we're saying no today to Trump, to Musk, to the agenda of his administration. No more. Thank you, no more.
But not everyone was in agreement. Towards the end of the standout, a lone counter-protester emerged in favor of the Trump administration and their policies.
I get more hate for holding a Trump sign and wearing a Make America Great Again hat as a black veteran from the Marine Corps than I do from anything else. A lot of the conservative Republican people that I know, they treat people so much better than they get credit for, right? I mean, again, the most racist people I've ever met are from the liberal progressive ideology. They see color, we don't.
While not everyone agreed with the message of the protests, the overwhelming turnout reflected a shared sense of urgency and a belief in the power of local voices to spark national change.
Oh, it's so important that the people here know if they can't get to D.C. or even into Boston, that they can come out in their local communities and stand together. This is an incredible community here, and we're so blessed to have the local media cover us as well.
We're getting the word out because it's the people. The people are doing it. It's not from the top down, it's from the bottom up. And when change happens in this country and around the world, it always happens with the people.
For Cape Media News, I'm Mitch Sock.
Coming up after the break, meeting recaps and more. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to Cape Media News.
Harwich, Chatham, and Barnstable held select board and town council meetings this week. Here's a quick recap.
In Barnstable last week, the town council meeting covered a range of important issues affecting the community, starting with public comment, where residents voiced concerns about removing established plantings at the Centerville playground. Many urged the town to save or move large trees rather than discard them. Champ Homes reminded everyone that their Earth Day cleanup event in Hyannis is set for April 22nd. Organizers are seeking volunteers to help pick up trash and maintain the area's public parks, beaches, and streets, emphasizing community pride and environmental stewardship. Additionally, a residents group advocating for the preservation of chapter-protected land requested that the council adopt clearer policies on land disposition. Town Manager Mark Ells provided a comprehensive update covering a wide range of issues. Key highlights included ongoing work on the fiscal year 2026 capital and operating budgets, with the first reading of the proposed capital improvement plan presented at this meeting. The plan outlines projects through fiscal year 2030, with public hearings scheduled for April 17th and May 1st. Ells also detailed Barnstable's active role in state and regional advocacy efforts, highlighting meetings with legislators regarding the Sagamore and Bourne Bridge projects and participation in the statewide Resilient Mass Climate Summit. He updated the council on wastewater funding advocacy, PFAS research, and Barnstable's involvement in a multi-community legal challenge against Holtec's plans to discharge radioactive water into Cape Cod Bay. Updates were provided on key planning documents currently open for public comment: the Local Comprehensive Plan, Housing Production Plan, Digital Equity Plan, and the Community Development Block Grant 5-year Consolidated Plan. Councilors also revisited the topic of accessory dwelling units, weighing the newer state mandates against existing local regulations for affordable apartments, and debating how these policies intersect with septic restrictions. The discussion recognized both the urgency of housing solutions and the need to protect the environment. In closing, the council introduced and referred numerous capital improvement proposals to a public hearing on April 17th. These projects cover infrastructure updates, facility enhancements, and roadwork initiatives. Barnstable residents will have an opportunity to learn more and share feedback at the upcoming hearing. Over in Harwich, the Treasure Collectors team opened with news that beach stickers for the upcoming fiscal year are now on sale. Residents can purchase them online or by mail. The board then received a 2-week look ahead on the Phase 3 sewer project, noting continued construction along designated streets with traffic details in place to manage roadway closures. Next, the board accepted a $10,000 donation from a local resident. These funds will be used to assess and potentially rebuild a set of beach access stairs on Walther Road. District Attorney Rob Galliboy provided an extensive update on local law enforcement efforts, emphasizing decreased fentanyl overdoses, human trafficking initiatives, and measures to combat elder fraud. He praised the cooperation among the Barnstable County Sheriff, local police, and community partners. Valerie Bell from the Energy and Climate Action Committee introduced a new state-sponsored Climate Leader program. If pursued, Harwich could qualify for grants aimed at cutting municipal carbon emissions and modernizing infrastructure. The board plans further research before deciding. Several annual town meeting warrant articles were then addressed. The Select Board revisited the town's revolving funds before closing the warrant to finalize items for voter consideration. In a joint session with the Community Preservation Committee, Markham LLC presented an audit of preservation funds. While no overall shortfall was discovered, the firm recommended improved record keeping and accurate annual reserve allocations. And in Chatham, the meeting opened with a public hearing. The board approved the installation of permanent high water warning signs on Morris Island Road. These foldable signs will be deployed only during flooding events and were recommended by the Traffic Safety Committee. Next, the board accepted a donation of 1,000 oversized oysters from the Chatham Shellfish Company. These oysters will support the town's popular recreational shellfishing program. The women of fishing families received full approval to host the Blessing of the Fleet at the Chatham Fish Pier on June 1st. The board granted the use of town property along with one-day alcohol and entertainment licenses and permission for on-site sales. The Human Services Committee will reduce its membership from 9 to 7. The move is intended to help the committee reach quorum more consistently. Executive Director Christy Senatori of the Cape Cod Commission presented the region's year in review, covering topics from affordable housing strategies to wastewater infrastructure and freshwater monitoring. She also highlighted the recent downtown parking and circulation study in Chatham. The board then discussed meeting policies. There was general support for keeping regulatory board meetings live and requiring all committee meetings to include a hybrid option for public participation. A formal policy will be drafted. Finally, members recapped their joint meeting with the Harwich Select Board on the Monomoy Regional School District Agreement. Concerns were raised over Harwich's indefinite hold on middle school renovations and their request to renegotiate cost sharing. Further talks are expected after town meeting. And that's it for this week. For Cape Media News, I'm Mitch Sock.
Coming up after the break, sports and more.
Welcome back to Cape Media News. Celebrate Poetry Month at the JFK Museum with a Sankofa Journey, the African in America, a captivating exhibit by Robin J. Miller on display at the museum through April 15th. We stopped by last week to hear Robin speak and share some of her poetry. Take a look.
We are currently living in an extremely conservative climate. Yet, I will move forward sharing African American history that may be difficult for you to hear. I am not being political. I'm just artistically and poetically telling a story that needs to be told. I am expressing my feelings about what I have studied and learned. As painful as some of this is, the purpose is not to make white people feel guilty. You were not there. But you are here now, and it is beneficial to us all when you know more about this story, which is a significant part of American history. It is a shameful story that America would like to bury. And now, let us begin. From the wisdom of the Akan people comes the Sankofa bird. She moves with style, she moves with grace. But she is not alone. She belongs to a collection of symbols that guide the morals, the thoughts and deeds of the African tribe that created her. The Sankofa bird bends and twists. She is flexible and confident. Her elongated neck reaches back. In her mouth is the egg of the future, for she understands that we are lost when we fail to acknowledge the things of the past. It is our foundation. She beckons us to return to a time and place, a place that may or may not hold sweet memories. However, that is not the point. Whatever our origin has been, we must learn it, embrace it, then draw on it for strength. So let the Sankofa bird direct your path, a path that leads to the wisdom of the ancestors. Africans and their descendants branded as cannibals, demonic, uncivilized, amoral, less than human, apes, savages, yes, savages. However, I invite you to take a closer look. Who snatched Africans from their native homes, women and children alike, shackled and chained them, marched them into dungeons of hell, dragged them onto wretched ships, whipped them past the point of blood and tears, tossed them into the sea when they got sick or simply to collect insurance money, raped the women, humiliated the men, terrified the children, separated families, starved these people of air, food, water, dignity, then scrubbed them with bristled brushes and oiled their bodies to be sold like stocks, cattle, commodities so they could become filthy rich, yes, filthy, then pass that wealth down for generations to come so that they could look down their superior noses with disdain on those who built this very nation, from the railroads to the great universities to the Smithsonian Institution and even the White House. My name is Eliza Lucas Pinckney. My Lieutenant Army father put me in charge of 3 plantations in South Carolina. And I was only 16 years of age, a mere girl running those plantations. Oh, what were you doing at 16? I'm sure by now that if you know anything about indigo, you've more than likely heard of me. They call me the Indigo Girl. Look it up, you'll see. There's a book with that title, and it's all about, well, you know who. By the way, pay no attention to the background. Focus on me. Battle hymns, fraud and deception. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. More prayers, impiety, hypocrisy. God bless America, my home, sweet home. And the Negro kept on singing. Oh, Lordy, pick a bale of cotton. Oh, Lordy, pick a bale a day. So what to the slave is the 4th of July? Just another cotton-picking day.
Barnstable Public Schools are celebrating the success of a grant-funded art project in partnership with the Cordial Eye Art Gallery. Superintendent Sarah Ahern, Barnstable Intermediate School Principal Tyler Arlington and English Curriculum Coordinator Laura Welch are pleased to share that all 312 sixth grade students were able to participate in the project. During field trips to Cordial Eyes Art Gallery in Hyannis, students contributed to a giant mosaic composed of personally designed, hand-painted tiles.
The project builds off the district's ongoing participation in the Max Courage program, which challenges students from diverse backgrounds to express personal narratives through art and writing. Cordial Eye artists will be photographing all of the painted tiles and assembling them into a mosaic to be printed on canvas and displayed at the intermediate school. They anticipate the final product will be ready by the end of May.
Get ready, Cape Cod, for the second annual CodCon. The Hyannis Public Library and Yarmouth Town Libraries are holding this exciting event on May 4th from 10 to 4 p.m. at Hyannis Public Library and Cordial Eye Gallery. All ages are welcome for this free event, which includes cosplay contests, panels and workshops, vendors market with local artists, and special industry guests.
The Cape and Islands Child Advocacy Center, Children's Cove, is partnering with Monomoy School District to provide programming for students and the community in online safety. Data show that online facilitated crimes against children have increased across the region. The Children's Cove Education Program Manager says that the risks to the children across our community keeps increasing proportionate to the greater access they have to the internet. Whether it is gaming, social media, or even texting, the risks are there, and we need to address them.
To address these risks, the Institute for Responsible Online and Cell Phone Communication will visit Monomoy schools this month to speak to students. Presentations will include a number of interactive elements that will enable students and adults to understand current trends, risks, and ways to improve their own safety.
With Earth Week fast approaching, Barnstable Land Trust has announced several events and programs to get you involved in your community. The Trust designed these events to shine a spotlight on how important natural resources are to our daily lives, especially on Cape Cod. From April 16th through the 24th, enjoy a story time and garden party at Sturgis Library, clean up Ropes Beach in Centerville, or learn about birding at the BLT headquarters. For Barnstable Land Trust's full itinerary, visit blt.org/events.
Next week, the town of Harwich is holding their second annual Health and Environmental Fair. On Saturday the 19th, head to the 204 Municipal Building for free health screenings, lectures from health and environmental experts, food vendors, kids' games and crafts, and more. Some key programs include a yoga class at 10 a.m., visits with the Easter Bunny from 11 to 2, and presentations from Harwich Climate Action Network and Barnstable County public health officials. Head to Harwich Health Department's Facebook page to find a full list of events.
And lastly this evening, to Ryan Downs with a recap of This Week in Sports.
Welcome back to the Cape Media News Sports segment. I'm your host and local sports guy, Ryan Downs. Spring sports were in full effect this week, so let's check in on where our teams stand. Starting off with baseball, this past Wednesday, Cape Media News was able to make it to Red Wilson Field for a high-scoring matchup between two of our very own, Barnstable and DY. They went back and forth until the bottom of the sixth when DY exploded for 9 runs, securing a 17-7 finish. There was plenty of action from both sides. Lincoln Slade led the Dolphins with 3 hits and 4 runs. Ben Rodina doubled, scored 3 runs, and drove in 1. John Richard crossed the plate twice and brought home 3 RBIs, and RJ Delcourt added 2 hits, a run, and an RBI. Zach Jennings also scored twice as a pinch runner for Hudson Campbell. For Barnstable, Eric Stanley led with 2 hits, 2 RBIs, and 2 runs scored. Jake Cross added 2 more hits, bringing in a runner, and scored himself 2. Eddie White got a hit, bringing in a run, and scored as well. And Braden Costello had 2 hits and 1 RBI. DY was real patient at the plate, valuing each at-bat and working the count. They earned 9 hits and managed to walk 14 times throughout the game. They move on to 2-0 on the year, while Barnstable falls to 1-3. They had live bats all throughout the game, even out-hitting DY 11-9. These teams will face off again on May 2nd, only at Barnstable next time around. Monomoy baseball was busy this week. They had 3 games resulting in 2 wins. Last Friday, they squeezed out a victory over Bourne in the season opener. The Sharks' clutch performance came largely from senior Finn Hyora, who stepped in to pitch in a bases-loaded, no-out jam in the 5th inning and shut the door. Hyora only allowed 1 inherited runner to score, struck out 2, and closed out the final innings to preserve the win. At the plate, Casey Hughes went 2 for 3 with 3 RBIs, and Lincoln Sanford added 2 hits and 2 RBIs in a 5-3 final score. Then, on Wednesday, in their home opener, Monomoy exploded offensively with a 25-0 final score over Rising Tide. 10 different players scored runs, with Finn Hyora starring at the plate this time. He went off for a triple, a double, 3 RBIs, and scored 3 runs. Tyler Layton also had a huge game with 4 RBIs, 3 runs, and a double. He tossed 4 no-hit innings on the mound with 6 strikeouts. Xavier Doyle closed the game with 2 perfect innings, striking out 5. Chance Robbins added 3 hits, 3 RBIs, and 3 runs, and Hank Brown drove in 4. And last night, they traveled to Hyannis to take on St. John Paul II. Long story short, it did not go according to plan, as the Lions combined for a no-hitter and won by 10 runs with a final score of 11-1. Barnstable and DY also met on the softball field this past week, and things went similar to baseball in the aspect that DY came away with the win and scored 9 runs in 1 inning. Lily Leandre went 2 for 2 and had 3 RBIs on the night, including a 2-run double in the 4th. Emily Orman added 3 hits, and Savannah Azoff was lights out pitching as she struck out 8 over 4 scoreless innings. DY improves to 2-1, and the Red Hawks fall to 1-4. And let's finish up with our latest esports update. DY Smash Varsity had drawn Sutton for the first round of the playoffs, just like we predicted. And so this was a rematch of last week's matchup, where Sutton ended up winning on 6 straight games to bring the final score 3-2. This time around, Sutton took the first game of Series 1, but DY bounced back to win the next 2 games and the first series. With a 1-0 lead, it was the same story in the second set. Sutton won the first game before DY won the next 2 in a row. Up 2-0 now, all DY had to do was win 1 more series. But this is the same position they found themselves in last week, up 2-0 before Sutton ripped off 6 straight wins. In the third set, DY managed to win the first game, which made them only 1 game away from moving on to round 2 of the playoffs. Sutton ended up winning game 2 and forcing a third game. DY ended up winning that third game and the match with a final score of 3-0. They move on to the second round of the playoffs, where they'll face Leicester next week. And that's it for this week's Sports Update. Back to you, Jamie and Rick.
Thanks, Ryan. Last week, the Harwich Conservation Trust and the Orleans Farmers Market co-sponsored Meet Your Local Farmers, an event connecting over 40 Cape Cod farmers with their communities. Over 1,700 people showed up, but if you missed it, take a look at some highlights. And thank you for joining us this evening. If you have a story you'd like to see covered, send us an email at newstip@capemedia.org.
Stay up to date on all local happenings by following us on Facebook and YouTube.
And make sure to tune in every Friday at 5:30 for more hyperlocal news that matters on Channel 26, Apple TV, Roku, and Fire TV. For Cape Media News, I'm Jamie Horton.
And I'm Rick Coombs.